Hey, what's up, everyone? Full disclaimer on this particular episode, I've made my first mistake. Unfortunately, I did not have my mic turned on or selected in the Zoom chat, and therefore my MacBook picked up my audio, and it's not the greatest. It's still a really funny conversation. I still encourage you to listen to it, especially if you want to get a good laugh. But, full disclosure, the audio is not the greatest. Sorry. What's going on? I hope you're having a fantastic day, wherever you are and whoever you are. Amen to you, and thank you for joining us on today's very special episode of Hero Front, where I sit down with one of my best friends. By the way, I can count my best friends on probably one hand. When you're my best friend, you're my best friend for life. For life. And in this episode, I talked to my best friend, Master Sergeant Ronnie Deschaines, who I went through basic training with, who I went through tech school with, and who was my roommate for a year and a half at Anderson Air Force Base, Guam, when we were both aerospace ground equipment. This is going to be a little bit of a more lighthearted episode as me and my friend Ronnie ask each other random questions. This was totally impromptu. We also reflect on some really funny stories from our first base. I've had one prior episode like this before, and this is part 2 with my boy, Ronnie Deschaines. Let's get after it. All right, here's what we'll do. Let's just ask each other a question to answer.
Okay.
We're just gonna play 21 questions. We're not gonna literally do 21, but I don't know what else to call it.
Okay, work.
So my question to you: are you a master sergeant? You are.
Yes, yeah, I still on one fed.
One fab. Did you post that?
No.
Yeah, because I don't think I saw that. I saw.
Here's the thing, man. I don't like posting like, look at me, man. I don't like it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I had a guy who made it at the same time as me, who joined basic with me.
Okay.
Be like, today is my first day as master sergeant. All right. So
just goes deep with you first day.
It's awesome, dude. But like that time, like when you saw on that stripe, it is no longer about you anymore.
Okay, so that's my question to you.
Yeah.
What does being a senior NCO mean to you?
So that means to me that is no longer about me, right? So to me, that means that I need to take care of people. I'm a people-focused person, right? It's more squadron direction when you go up that way too, and it's not about you anymore. It's not, one day you're going to be gone and out of the Air Force and someone else is going to be your replacement, So I think that,
you get that feeling that you're on the back nine.
Yeah. So I think
like your time is limited.
Yeah. I think it's you more like, not to get super blue, but developing your replacements and making sure that the ship's going to continue to sail, you know what I mean? The right way. Yeah.
Cause like you can actually see it now. Like, you can see like, hey, I'm doing all these things that I've learned throughout the years. I'm about to leave. Like, that could be a problem if the people behind me don't know any of the stuff I'm doing or thinking or feeling or how to respond to certain things.
Yeah, that too. And like, odds of like, I guess making senior, your pool goes down, it's even harder to go up and move up through the ranks, you know what I mean? So it's, it's weird, man. It's a weird spot, it's,
have you been happy since you've made it or have you been?
Oh yeah. Oh, 100%. Because they're like, you can go ahead and do that now. I'm like, oh, sick. I'm an adult. You know what I mean? Like
it only took you 17, 16 years.
Yeah. So I'm like, I can go sign that.
Now we're adults, Ronnie. 16 years later.
Yeah. Can you imagine being like a staff sergeant and sending up a piece of paper to the squadron? The process that it goes through, right?
I thought I was a peon. I didn't do anything when we were airmen. I thought my bubble was about a foot in front of me, and that was it.
I used to walk by that office where Sergeant Hydro used to work.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does he do all day? And it's literally him like on a computer, I'm like, what is he doing? I'm
right.
so confused, but Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not about me. That's the biggest takeaway that I'm
Okay.
going to get about that. So,
No, I love that, man, and I felt the exact same way. I know exactly what you're talking about. You're passing on the legacy. You're on the back nine.
yeah, it's very humbling. You know what I mean? Like, shut up, you're here. It's not a, go
Right.
do your job, right? So,
Yeah.
So, but yeah, yeah.
All right, man. What you got for me?
What was the hardest thing that you've ever had to learn being a senior NCO? What was the biggest challenge for you being a senior NCO?
Oh, man.
The biggest, not there's a lot of them, but the biggest,
Right.
hardest thing. You're more teaching me on this one and others.
The hardest thing, man, I guess the hardest thing is just knowing how many eyes are on you just by the rank.
Yeah.
And navigating that on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So that's been the hardest for me. So my favorite part is being friends with the top 3 and doing things with them and talking with them. And now I'm part of that top 3. I feel that community of all these senior enlisted members who are on limited time, essentially, in the military.
Yeah.
And so like, I love that. But the harder part for me is there's been times in my life where like, I'll get super introverted or reflective or just need time to think or be to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to do that in the other ranks. I was basically able to hit pause. And I feel like when you're a senior NCO, you never get that opportunity.
Because you become them. Does that make sense?
Right. Your leadership. Yeah. Yeah. I'd say that's another hard part too, is that you're not looked at as you anymore.
Right.
Like maybe on the other ranks, they'd say, oh, this is, Staff Sergeant such and such. And they'd say, oh, they want to get to know your hobbies. Do you want to hang out and do this or that with us after work? Like but then once you're in a higher position, a higher rank, you're looked at as that position, as that rank.
Yeah.
You're no longer, Ronnie Deschaines. Now you're this master sergeant who runs so it kind of, they say it's lonely at the top. And I think that's a perfect example of, that I struggle with that feeling of being separated.
Yeah. Because you want to be like, hey,
right.
What's up, guys?
Right.
What up, and you can't because you're like, I'm here with this thing now, it's like,
right.
You can't do it no more. It just sucks. But
so I hope that answer made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it did. Okay. You go.
Okay. All right. Let's think of another one here. What would you tell if you could send one message to Airman Deschaines in Guam? What message? And he would just, and this Ronnie from in Guam, this young version of you, this 18-year-old you, all he knows is this is from a mentor from the future. He doesn't know it's from you. Yeah. He just thinks it's a mentor passing him a message from the future. What would that message be?
Shut up and listen. That for me, that's me. You know what I mean? Like I talked way too much. I was arrogant, It's more shut up and listen, You got 2 ears, 1 mouth, right? So right. 2 more listening than you talking,
Yeah.
That'd be mine, man. Because you know how it was.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough day when like your own mouth is getting you in worse and worse shape,
Yes. And it did with me for like 9 years. I would say the first 9 was like I'm screwing up because I'm giving attitude, or I want to do things my way, or I'm not really listening to the advice that's given to me, or I wish I would have listened more, and I wish I would be more focused too. That's another thing as well.
Yeah, I think when I think focused, I think of Erdman.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that dude was like, he's like, I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna do 600 crunches. Okay, I'm watching what I eat. I have a calculus exam. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah.
And I'm 19.
He was scuba certified. He damn near had a bachelor's in like a year and a half.
Erdman focused, man. Sorry, man. Banter, dude.
And so if you saw the picture, I ran into him here in Florida.
I did. That's awesome.
Which he's very reclusive. He's very private. To the point where like I'm probably the only person he's seen or talked to or kept a relationship with since Guam, because that's just how he rolls. Mm-hmm. But I did tell him that like I used to give him a hard time because he would make me feel like an idiot. So like I'm going out gaming and drinking and having fun while this guy's like studying, and that would like make me like, you know, feel bad that I'm not doing those things. So I would just poke fun at him instead of just doing those things.
Yeah.
I would minimalize it, you know, but me and him had a great relationship because he would help keep me focused and he'd give me advice. You know, he'd get through to me in certain ways if he saw me acting like real wild. And then on the flip side, he told me I helped him get out of his shell. I helped him be a bit more extroverted, take a little bit more chances, let his hair down a little bit. Yeah. So like we fed off each other in healthy ways. And I think that's why, you know, to this day, we've stayed in touch.
Yeah. No one's really going to get this reference, but do you watch Space Force or no?
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Steve Carell like got up out of bed and he walked to his towel and like saluted it and then fixed it and then went back to bed?
Yeah. But what makes Erdman so funny is that he follows all the rules more than anyone else, but he hates the rules more than anyone else. So he's like so angry that he's doing.
I know.
That's what I loved about him. He's just like basically this character from a sitcom.
Yeah.
Okay. Whose turn is it? It's your turn to ask me.
In all your years that you've been in the Air Force, right? What senior leaders, since we're on this topic anyway, what senior leader's been the biggest example for you? Who has made you want to exemplify this person and why?
I mean, you know as well as I do, it's hard to narrow down to one person.
Just think of top three.
I can tell you different people for different inspirations, basically. Okay. Now, this first one is going to be the most blue answer that I could ever give you ever.
That's okay. We're allowed to do that now.
It was Chief Bass.
Was it really?
Yes. Now, this was before she was the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force. This was before that. I knew her before.
No way.
Yes.
Really?
I knew her before she was famous.
Yeah, right? I mean, the highest enlisted leader that, you know, yeah.
Yeah, so I just coincidentally was sat at her table during the 12 Outstanding Airmen of the Year awards. I was a nominee, so I got to go in D.C. and watch the 12 actually win at the Air Force level. And at my table, next to me or across from me was Chief Bass. Mm-hmm. And I knew who she was because of social media, because she was the second Air Force Command Chief. So that's in charge of training, basic training, tech school, etc. And she just highlighted so many people like day to day that I just was like inspired to do the same. That's what started me on this social media journey. And what ultimately led to this podcast was emulating the way she made people feel special without even really putting that much effort into it. You know what I mean? It's not like spending weeks writing this annual award for one person. She could, you know, bring almost that same level of joy with just getting to know them and giving them that shout out. And I thought that was like, I thought that I wasn't good enough to do that.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point, I was like, why the hell not? I'm just going to do it. And I wish I would have done that earlier. You know, I wish I would have valued that earlier. What was that?
Okay, she dropped the plate.
Is she okay?
Yeah. You okay? Okay. Yeah.
So she inspired me to highlight people online, and she inspired, and that is how I show gratitude. And that ultimately she is a huge reason why I'm doing this podcast today. So I'd say that interaction, that conversation that night with her was huge with my mindset. And I got to talk to her all night, and it was really cool. Very cool, learning from her firsthand before she was selected.
Yeah.
So I would say another big person would be Major Cunningham.
Okay.
And Major Cunningham was the OIC at FSS, and Mortuary Affairs and Honor Guard fell under him.
Hmm.
And he basically set me up for success in ways that no one else has before. Like, the Air Force is not big on risk taking.
Mm-hmm.
And although he's very smart and very like well put together, he does take healthy risks. I noticed.
Okay.
He will invest in someone and take that chance if he thinks there's going to be a big payoff, and he will give you creative control over how to make something better.
Yeah.
Like, I'd have to pitch it to him. He'd want me to pitch him how to fix things, how to elevate things. And like, my ideas were pretty big, and they ended up changing, for the whole Air Force for Honor Guard like stuff. So
right.
It did lead to that. It almost changed for the whole DOD.
Yeah.
But my point is, he let us just live this limitless time. With my time with him, I'd pitch him an idea, he'd give me feedback, but he always believed in me. He invested in me, and he gave me that creative control to truly make it monumentally better. Yeah. And I don't see that a lot in people. They're not willing to do that. They're either don't see the purpose, they don't believe in you, or it's too big of a risk. But most people don't do that, what he did for me.
Yeah.
And so that he was a huge inspiration. And then the third person that I will call out, again, there's so many people, like there's a lot of people, but this is more recent. During my time in Honor Guard also, there was a Senior Master Sergeant, Misty Marino, who is the only person who has put me in for an award where I didn't write the package or ask to be put in. The only person that has ever done that since I've been in. And that changed my entire career.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she was an expert writer. She put me in for 2 awards in the same quarter. One of them won at the group, the other one won at the wing, and that set me on this whole other path.
Oh, snowball effect, dude. Yeah.
Yeah, that turned into an annual award. That turned into Billy J. Bowles Award. That turned into the 12 Outstanding Airmen, which that started this chain reaction of knowing what I bring to the table, and I will never ever forget, her doing that for me.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah,
crazy.
Is that a good answer?
Yeah, dude, that works. I hate to be like, who's your number one? I forgot we've been in for like 17 and a half years. So it's,
right.
It's hard to paint just one. So yeah, that answers it 100%.
Awesome. So, okay. So my question for you, Ronnie, would be, I know you, and I know, and if this is too personal, let me know. But I'm friends with you, and at a time I was friends with your now ex-wife.
Mm-hmm.
Loved you both. Of course, it broke our hearts seeing. I saw firsthand, what you were going through, in essentially what a toxic relationship, right?
Yeah.
Like what became your norm was.
Yep.
It became your norm, so you didn't realize how abnormal the conversations, the fighting was. That was just your day to day. But when you came and visited me and I saw it, I was like, I really, really felt for you because you're my best friend. And I saw how miserable it was making you, but you really didn't see it yourself. You were kind of, tunnel vision, just trying to fix it, just trying to stay afloat.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So
yeah.
And I know I'm going real deep here already, but my question's pretty simple. Okay. The question's pretty simple. The question is, what advice would you give someone that was in a relationship like yours that was very painful day to day? You kind of felt stuck. You didn't know what to do, who to turn to. Every day was a struggle. Is there any advice reflecting on that time now that you've had some years pass since that divorce that you can give advice to anyone that's going through a similar relationship dynamic?
I mean, it sounds simple on paper, man, but like they need to get out of said relationship, it's hard. It's so hard to get out of something like that, once you're stuck in it. But it's time to move on, from like an individual, like mental health perspective. That's never good for anyone to go through that consistently for years on end. And for, like you said, for it to be the normal, you'll be surprised what you do when you get out of it. And you're like, holy crap, I'm me again,
Yeah. You basically are, you're changing into a different person to make it work for that person.
For that person, exactly.
You're walking on eggshells and trying to just minimize yourself to not set that person off.
Yeah.
Right. So you're watching what you're saying, you're watching what you're doing now. You have to walk on eggshells, and it over years, it starts to change who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Because you're not you anymore. You're trying to be this other person that doesn't set off your partner.
Yeah, I'm just that other person, you know what I mean? And you get completely lost, and it takes years after something like that for you to be normal pre-relationship, you know what I mean? If it's toxic, it's time to go. If you've tried and nothing's working and you've been trying for a long time, it's time to go.
So if you don't go, it will eventually hit a boiling point where it could get out of hand. That's ultimately what happens if you let it go on too long, right? It starts to escalate. If you could do anything different, like with yours, knowing what you know now, you have a much clearer head. How would you go about of that divorce?
It sucks saying, it's hard to say this, but I wouldn't really have changed anything. The reason why I say that is because I got my kids, right? So I got my kids the exact way they are, right? And if it wasn't for that one bad thing, you know what I mean? Let's say it didn't happen, I wouldn't have the same kids I have, So it sucks. I've moved on. I've forgiven that person, right?
Yeah.
And I'm past it, it was when I filed my divorce or whatever, it was alleviating day one. Right.
Really?
So it was immediately day one. I do not miss this person, but it was the kids game. Right. So it was going through and then not having primary custody. That was my battle, was the focus on the kids and how does dad look towards the kids. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
that's a whole nother struggle, right?
Yeah, I went in, I filed in like 2017, or got approved in 2017 in December. And then I went to Kandahar in June of 2018. And I was the happiest man, in a crappy, deployed environment,
Yeah. Wow.
Free, and then I came back and it was a long time of just drama with kids,
Yeah.
But
when you were in the relationship at its worst, compared to you now, what's the biggest differences that you see in yourself?
I'm honestly right now, I'm able to be myself. Yeah, it sounds, I don't want to give you cookie cutter answer, but I'm able to be me now, because at its worst, I was trying to not have a fight or make that person happy or do what that person wanted. So, I'm happy to be me finally and be normal,
Mm-hmm.
It's, I want to tell you something too. I'll tell you what, the moment I got divorced, tech happened and NASCAR happened back to back. So,
oh, wow, you're right.
So, was that me just focusing on the career? I don't know. Was that me not having to deal with crap at home and being positive when I came into work? Probably, right? So,
can I be transparent with you about something too?
Yeah.
Do you remember that time I came and visited you at your home?
Yeah, I remember that.
At Kirtland?
Yep.
So when I left, basically I saw you, I got to hang out with you. It was a great experience. Yeah. I think I visited you twice, actually.
Yeah.
I think I was there twice. But the time that I'm talking about right now is when me and Angie visited you in particular. So it wasn't long because we were just passing through from
remember,
our trip from Luke Air Force Base to Whiteman Air Force Base. That's when, during that drive is when we stopped by. But when I left, I was insanely envious of you.
Why? I'm not making a joke, but why?
I was insanely envious of you because think of to explain where I was at, I was struggling to have children. Me and Angie were, kind of going through a rough patch a little bit.
I remember.
Because we were young, we were drinking and still going out. And it's always hard to, I think, to be married when you're going through certain phases of your own life.
Yeah.
There's certain challenges that come with that. So we were kind of going through a rough patch, just trying to figure out who we were as a married couple and what we wanted. I wasn't having kids. I was struggling with that. That wasn't working. I was drinking a lot. I was drinking constantly. I didn't have enough money to own a house or anything. I was just renting properties. So when I came to your house, I saw someone who was married with 2 children.
Yeah.
You had this really beautiful house with this mountain view in the back, on Kirtland Air Force Base. And, you had this sweet ass gaming setup, and it just seemed like everything was so well put together. I wasn't jealous in a negative way. It was more it was more like, man, I hope one day my life looks like that. I hope I have kids. I hope that I look have this house and with this nice view. I just wasn't there yet. And that stuck with me the whole drive.
Really?
I couldn't stop thinking about it. Yeah.
Damn.
Am I screwing up with my own life? So I never told you that. But yeah, that's how I felt leaving that trip.
Yeah. Damn. You should have told me that, brother.
Well, now I have a house with a nice view and I have my 2 kids. So
an awesome kids and an awesome wife.
An awesome wife.
Same birthday I do.
Yes. So I never forgot it. And I kept it in my heart. And I did finally achieve that goal. So
yeah, it's awesome, dude.
All right. So is it my turn? You got a question for me? We'll do one more each.
Who asked last? Did I ask or did you ask?
Or we can just tell a funny story.
A funny story.
Of each other that we probably didn't talk about last time. Is there any that we didn't talk about?
Talked about a lot last time. I think I mentioned the Marine incident last time.
Yes, you did.
Mm-hmm. The bottle. You did the bottle.
Yeah.
God. You gotta give me a second now.
Let's talk. How about you tell some stories about faded memories? Tell me about that. Memories? Yeah. Tell me what faded memories is and what we did and anything funny you remember.
Man. So we had the cover band with
Flinched.
Automio, right?
Oh yeah. We're friends with him on Facebook, right? I am. I don't know if you are.
Yeah.
We call them Jalapeno.
Jalapeno, yeah. So we were
in Millhouse.
Yeah, so we had that going on. Actually, we met that Chamorro band.
Flinched.
Yes. I couldn't remember that name, but we met them at was it a bar?
I don't know how we met them. I would assume we met them at a live house.
So I'm gonna. I know exactly where we met them at, but I'm gonna say right now it was a bar. Okay. So I'm gonna say it was a bar, right? So we went to live house, saw them, and then we went to the bar, and they were there, right? So we bought them one of the cases of the beer that comes in the fucking what is it? It's that ice bucket. So we bought him one of those.
Bro, you want to be friends with someone in Guam? You get them Bud Light, bro. They're your best friend, dude.
So we bought him one of those at the bar. And then they're like, hey, so we started becoming friends, and then we formed this band. So I was playing guitar. You were huge into Dashboard.
Yes.
At the time.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, fight the good fight, dude. Like,
I was emo.
Yeah, straight up.
I was emo.
So me, you, who else was it? What's that guy's name? Nelson?
Yeah, Millhouse.
So it was Millhouse, Jalapeno, and then
David.
Not on good terms with David. But
David Hernandez.
Yeah, that's it. So we would go and we would play. We started playing, and we used to invite the shop out on Friday nights, and we would just have a freaking blast. I think we're playing cover songs, so it was like "Sense of Spell" was huge. Story of the Year. What else?
Blink 182.
Blink 182. I mean, it was a blast. I mean, it's not really. It's nothing really funny. It's just we had a good time. You know what I mean? And I will never forget that time. You know, because it was every week. It seemed like.
Yeah, the best show that I like where we did our best, because it was hard to do good when we never practiced and we didn't have a place to practice. So when we went up there, that was it. But it was after like the New Year's party. So we had like a maintenance New Year's Christmas type of party.
You were suited.
I was suited. Well, I think we both were.
Yeah.
And so like that night was so cool because everyone was like hammered from this Christmas party. We all go to Live House and we play in front of the whole shop. And we're singing like as a crowd. Like I remember like everyone around me like joining in on it. And I think that was some of their first times being there and seeing it. And their minds were just blown. They're like, you guys do this? Like, what the hell?
Yeah. Like, didn't need your permission, you know?
But we killed it that night. That was like, we were hyped going in. So, you know, it was bound to be a good night.
Yeah, because I think that night, I think there were a few drinks that night too, if I remember right. You know,
there was a lot.
You were charismatic, so I was like, Josh has got this, and then my hands on guitar felt like concrete. So I was so nervous, I was like, but it was doing this, you know.
Right,
like,
but I was like running around like a madman, so they were only looking at me. I was like jumping off chairs and like freaking just going crazy.
Yeah, that was such a good time. Not really funny, man. It was those memories, you know, those dope memories.
It was those faded memories.
Those faded memories, man. I don't know where we came up with that stupid name.
I know what I came up with the name. I know what I could tell you how.
What?
So faded memories was that. Okay, so faded memories was that we all had an ex-girlfriend that we had to leave when we got to Guam that broke our heart and we hated them. And and the memory of them, you know, it was we had good memories with them, but because they were in this other country and we broke up in you know, on bad terms, those have become faded memories. That's the story. That was it. Because we were all we start drinking, we get pissed, talking like exchanging stories, and we all seem to have one.
Yeah, like no way that happened to me, man.
Like what? Brittany did what?
Yeah.
She did what in college? Like,
so funny, man.
Yeah, so that's the reason behind the name. Okay, so funny story about you. Oh God, there's a few.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so I think one of them that's pretty funny is that anytime we got like way too drunk, when we were like bar hopping, like to that point where we're just going bar to bar, like it's just you don't even know where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea where you're at. Right? You just got to this bar. You're like, what's up? Okay. And on the walks there, we would, for some reason, like blindside each other into bushes.
Dude, I remember that, man. Oh, I remember that.
And like, if I was sober, I don't see how I could hit someone so hard they'd fly into a bush. Like, sober, I could not pull that off. But for some reason, when you're drunk, you know exactly how to hit them.
You just become an expert at tackling. You know?
You just know how to lay someone out. You don't care what happens to you. And there was one particular night where like I went too hard.
Yeah.
Like you got me like really good, but then I got you like too good. Like you didn't get up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I remember that one.
Like you almost hit me, I think. I think you were contemplating swinging on me.
That made me so mad because back then it was like, you're not going to one-up me. I'm going to one up you.
Dude, we were best friends, but we were way too competitive.
It was like that for anything, especially when it came to tackling some people in some bushes. You know what I mean? It's like, you got me good, but you're like, I just bought a football helmet at the store, and I'm gonna tackle.
I brought pads.
But pads?
I brought pads. I was ready.
Just to get that edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So funny, man.
Yeah, we were way too competitive, but people would egg us on too. They would kind of pit us against each other and toy with us. And yeah. Any more funny stories?
No,
not.
We covered a lot on that first one we did.
Did we talk about when I called out all those firefighters? Were you even there for that?
No. No.
You weren't there. Maybe it was me and Burger Stock. Like, there was random nights where I would go out with Burger Stock and we would just go, because we were both fixing to get wild.
Yeah.
And that was about the only thing I had in common with him. So there were nights where, like, it was just me and him.
Yeah.
And I think this was a night where it was just me and him. But yeah, I called out a group of firefighters that were all sitting at one table and then sprinted away when they all got up to fight me.
You're like, nope. Look, God.
I was like, I think I yelled, you gotta catch me first.
Because they were like vanishing meme where that guy's like this and just disappears. You seen that one? That was you.
Yeah, man. That was me.
That was you.
I'm trying to think if there's any other funny ones with you that we didn't already talk about. We talked about the car accident.
We did talk about that one.
That was so funny.
There's a few I remember, but it's not appropriate for this podcast. It is not. It's so far not like.
Yeah, there's some that are there's really no way to like sugarcoat it.
No, it's not even that. Like, remember the bike with Solo and the Jeep with Osmond driving back that one day?
Yeah, was that what we called them? Solo?
Yeah,
that is what we call them. Well, can you give like a PG-13 version of that story?
I can't.
Okay.
I cannot. No.
Okay. I know of one we can talk about that we didn't talk about the other one. The Night Ninjas.
Oh, what was this?
With our Sith Lord who is hiding in the shadows, giving us instructions.
Ottenbacher? What was his name?
Ottenbacher, yeah. Ottenbacher was Darth Sidious. We were his young Padawan, and we were called the Night Ninjas, and we would get into all sorts of trouble and shenanigans with ideas from him when he was drunk, and then he would claim that he never said anything to us afterwards. And the most legendary Night Ninjas event that happened.
You're talking about the light? Are you going to go into
I'm talking about the light.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not going to say exactly what we put into the light, but here's what happened essentially. So we were at Staff Sergeant Justin Fleming's house, which we often were drinking with our bosses, which was
normal.
That was normal. Yeah, that was. It's probably not happening now. I don't know. I'm not in maintenance and I'm not in Guam. Maybe it is. But at this time, we were partying with our whole shop. We did this every weekend, and his house was in a great spot. And he had a great house. And so we'd party at his house every weekend. He started dating a girl that was in the Navy, and she lived above him. And they were dating, and they hit it off. And so I don't know if she left her door unlocked. I think she did, because she would often go downstairs to the party with us. And so we went into we basically snuck into her apartment, and we basically took all of her clothes and we stuffed them in lights up on the ceiling. Essentially is what we did. I don't know why we did that. I don't know why it sounded like
because it was random and no one would expect something that random. So we're like, we're just going to grab clothes and put them up on the ceiling.
Right.
Yeah, that's what it is. Like, if someone came home and they're like, why is your clothes on the light? You know what I mean?
Right. So like, she went back upstairs, started freaking out, saying she was robbed. That's what she initially thought. After further investigation, she realized that clothes were just stuffed up into lights, fixtures, and on her ceiling, which made no sense and just confused them so bad. Do you remember, like, how did that get found out? Did we just tell them it was us?
there was almost a fire in the apartment because one of the articles of clothing in the lamp was on fire. So that's what started the smoke detector. It's because the smoke detector went off, I think.
No. Oh my, it started smoking. Bro, we were out of control.
And then Fleming was like, someone's always lit the house on fire, you know?
And he was going nuts. This dude's like 6'3", like 250.
No, he's bigger than that. He tried. We'll get into that in a second. But you went up and you saw the light bulb after the clothes were taken off, and it was just a black char.
Oh my gosh, we almost burnt down the apartment.
Yes, and Ottebacher was like, "It ain't me."
He's the one who told us that would be hilarious and encouraged us to do it. But we had to protect our Sith Lord, so we never told anyone that it was him behind it. And he loved that. He loved it. He thought it was so funny. He'd bring it up all the time at work. He'd be like, "Come here, young Padawan, I have a mission for you." And I'd be like, "Yes, master. What is it?"
He's like, "That NF2D PE, I need you to do it."
And I'm like, "Dang it.
Go inspect it. Go lube it." You're like, "Oh," you know? Disappointed.
Yeah. Okay, so I shared a story. Now, I want you to share one story, and then we're going to hop off. This is the last one. The story I want you to share. No, I already have one for you. I just want you to tell it.
Okay, yeah. Shoot.
When we got exhaust samples.
Oh, okay. So when we got to Guam, we were constantly messed with too, by the way, constantly, right? So they had us take our boots, remember that? And then go to NDI to go get them like NDI. So we walk down there. Yeah.
Did we do that?
Huh?
We did that?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, wow.
I did that.
I don't remember that, but I'm sure I wouldn't surprise me.
I walked down from the aid shop down to the squadron building with my black boots in my hand with just socks on. I was like, "Where's NDI?" And they're like, "What are you doing?" And that's the thing, though. The commander's office was right in those shops, right?
Yes,
like,
yeah.
You would have that guy like who's through his blinds.
Remember that real tatted up dude that was always in a bad mood?
Yeah, but like you just peep and then be like, "What are you?" Anyway, but so it consistently led to like one prank to the next, and then it turned into exhaust samples. So they actually jacked up a MJ-1B bomb lift. Remember those?
So it's basically like a go-kart that lifts bombs up. It has hydraulics in it to lift bombs into planes.
Right. So they
essentially
they had it on jack stands, right? And right when you start those things, you get
smoke from Vietnam's coming out of there, man.
Yeah, like smoke grenades are going off. You're like defending your buddies.
It's the thickest, nastiest exhaust that you could possibly imagine.
Right.
Basically.
So they did it to both of us, right? So they had us in chem gear. It was like mop 4.
Mop 4, yeah.
Yeah, chem gear with mason jars with lids, right? And I think it was Sergeant Hardy. And he's like, "All right, man, I'm going to go ahead and start this jam. Are you ready?" And we're like, "Yeah, we're ready," because we're trying to do a good job. As soon as he started, it was just like smoke.
Just engulfed you in smoke.
And then like I was trying to do such a good job. I was like, "All right, go." And I was like already like bottling this exhaust. You know what I mean? So they did it to both of us, but they hinted camera, me and you separately.
Yeah.
And we went down to bio, environmental.
Yep.
We went down to the hospital.
Yeah, we specifically went to bioenvironmental to hand in this mason jar exhaust sample.
Right.
And they looked at us, started laughing, and said, "Y'all got played."
Yeah. So they're like, "You got played." And it shows the video. And then they actually sent it to Kadena was it Kadena?
They sent it to multiple bases. And
then when you got there, they're like, "You want to explain this?" Click.
Yes.
And it showed the video footage of you being like,
yes.
Essentially, yes.
They got the whole shop. They played it. They knew it was me. So we had gas masks on. So like someone would have to tell you who it is. That was our one saving grace, is that our face was blocked. But yeah, they got the whole shop. They hit play. They all made fun of me like viciously. And then it didn't stop there. I went to Whiteman Air Force Base after that. And they didn't know it was me, but I saw a group of guys laughing at a computer screen. And I'm like, "What are y'all laughing at?" And I look, and it's us on the exhaust sample.
No.
Yeah. No. And they're like, "Look at these idiots." And I was like, "Wow, they're dumb." They're like, "Hey, don't you have that tattoo?" I'm like, "What? What's up?"
You're like putting your top on? You're like, "It's time to go."
Right.
Like, what tattoo? I don't have tattoos. What are you talking about?
So
one more thing.
yeah.
Yeah, I got one thing. I didn't know if this is a joke or not. You're public health, or you're medical. Remember those jugs, those orange jugs we had to carry around?
No. Is that what you pee in?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it's a joke.
We had it for like a week, dude.
It's not a joke.
Okay.
It's not a joke. Like you keep peeing in a bucket, right?
Yeah, it's that orange thing, and it bumps on. I'm like, what is that? I'm like, peeing.
Yeah, I don't think that's a joke. I don't think they do that test anymore. I think that test has evolved into something easier. But that's a way to basically test your, like, it was like a liver function test or kidney test of some sort. And I did hear about that when I first retrained, and it was a thing.
Because me and you were the only ones doing it. me and you were the only ones doing it. You know what I mean? I had to smell my pee in a jug for like a week.
So we were both peeing in these jugs for like a week. Let me get back to you on that, but I want to say that was a test. Now, was that applicable to our job? Probably not. I don't know. I think that's more of like people exposed to jet fuel or paint, like corrosion control. Like they have a bunch of very in-depth testing. So I'm not going to say it doesn't exist, but I'm going to say we should not have, probably being age, have had that test. It probably didn't apply to us.
I think I'm just scarred from that whole thing. You know what I mean? So I think, like, I don't know if it was for real or. That was my only sidebar. I've been thinking about it for like 16 years. I've never looked it up until I talked to you, and I'm like, that happened, and I'm like, should I ask?
How long did we pee in the jug for? How long did we have it?
A week. We had it Monday through Friday, and it was like up to the brim. I'm like,
did anyone?
I was like,
I'm going to chime in because you do those at work. It's only a 24-hour piss in a jug test. You can do a fecal jug test for a week where you poop in a bucket for a week, but it's usually 24 hours for urine collection for kidney function.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome.
Hey, but this was 2004, so it could have been a week then. We don't know.
I had it for a week. I remember.
Did anyone make fun of you for it?
Yeah, I just got weird looks. You know the looks. I would go into the bathroom with this jug, and they're like, what is this guy doing? And I would have this jug, and like, I was like, because I talked to you that day. I was like, Josh, I was like, how are we expected to hold this for a week when it's almost full and it's Tuesday? You know what I mean? I just didn't know. I'm still not going to know.
I'm crying. I'm crying right now because I'm just thinking of all the people who carry around jugs. People who carry around jugs of water, and we're carrying around jugs of piss. Like, oh man, great job. You're staying hydrated, man. You're like, oh, this ain't water, bro. This is oh my God. That is so funny. I haven't laughed that hard in a while.
I just never knew, man. Like, I wish I'd probably go down to medical this week, like next week. I was like, is that a thing? Has that ever been a thing?
We need to figure this out.
Yeah.
We need to figure this out.
You got the resources, man.
I do. All right. Last question. I said the last question 3 times now, but last question.
Yeah.
Do you have any funny Halo stories?
Can I? I don't know.
Just tell it. If I need to take it out, I will.
I remember that it was me. Hold on. I got 10% of my battery, but.
So this is the last story then.
Yeah. One of the biggest ones that hit me, because it was me, Erdman, in my room, and we had that shared bathroom, and it was you and
Freisinger
in the other room, and we would do custom doubles, right?
Yeah.
So we would do 2v2s, and you were kicking our ass so bad at Halo 2 that you would kill us. You come in like, Sasha, I fucking got it.
Like I'm yelling through the walls.
Yeah, you would come into the room and be like, that's how we do. And then you would like leave after each kill, right? So me and Ermin were like, dude, we're just gonna hide and we're gonna camp it out. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
We got you one time. I forgot what you said, man, but you came in that room when we killed you so hard. You're like, that's never gonna happen again. Oh, you're just like, it was so intense. I don't know how to explain it, but it was like back and forth, just talking crap. You know what I mean?
So like you finally got a kill on me, and I just snapped.
Whatever crisis that was going on in your brain was happening live in front of me.
Yeah, I don't think it was just Halo that was bothering me.
Dude, I don't know, because you left. I looked at Ermin like, this is the first. Ermin was like trying to rationalize it. You know, he was like, we've only killed him like one time, and you know what I mean. He was like, what's wrong with him?
All right, tell me this. When the time that I pissed you off so bad, you came flying through the door and threw me on the ground or punched me or something. I think you punched me. You just started beating the shit out of me. And it was due to Halo. And I was so mad that I was like, I'm switching rooms. Like I'm moving. Yeah. What happened that led to that altercation?
I can't remember. I'm not trying to sell you short. I can't remember.
I basically was, what I remember is I was basically trolling the hell out of you. And you just snapped. I just took it too far, and you come barreling through, just whooping my ass in real life. It was a great time. I think you've beat me up at least 3 times.
Shut up. Dude. I love you. Gosh, I love you. I'm no longer a hothead, like 19-year-old kid.
No, it's all good. Trust me when I say I deserve it. I deserve it. I can't believe I left Guam without getting knocked unconscious by someone. I was begging for it multiple times.
Dude, when you threw that bottle of those like 8 Marines and then passed out.
It wasn't 8 Marines. It was 1 Marine the size of 8 people.
No, you threw it at a crowd of 8 and 1 came by.
Oh.
I've never.
Yeah, I guess I shouldn't really go off my recollection of that night.
Yeah, you were like past. I have that photo somewhere, but I've never been more fearful for my life, dude. To be honest with you, oh my god,
good times, man.
Yeah, dude.
The last story I'll tell you, Halo related. Yeah. One of my proudest moments was when I beat Freisinger so bad at Halo. He slammed his fist into a concrete wall and shattered his hand, and then had to tell everybody that he broke it in basketball.
I remember that.
And I said, I did that from Halo. And I never let him forget it.
That guy had a cast on.
He had a cast on.
It was like in PC.
Because I BX-Star'd him for the 5th time in a row, and he shattered his hand on concrete.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Love that guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
You too, Erdman. I'm sorry I clowned you, Erdman. You're a good guy too.
Erdman. Yeah, who did we clown? We clowned Erdman a little and Freisinger. We love both of you. Yeah. And they're both listeners of Hero Front. So we love y'all.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. Well, it was great catching up. Great talking to you, as always. I freaking miss you like crazy, man. I got to see you soon.
Man. Yeah. Hey, I'm just gonna say something, Josh. Just keep doing this podcast, man. There's people that watch it and it matters, despite what other people think about it. They're wrong.
I love that, man, and I love you, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yep.
What's up, Hero Front fam? Josh here, and I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to that episode in its entirety. I owe you a hug. And the next time I see you, let me know how many hugs I owe you, and we'll get after it. Before you turn me off, though, I want you to subscribe on YouTube to the Hero Front Podcast
and give me a 5-star rating on Facebook or Apple Podcasts. It would be much, much appreciated to get your love and support. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us on this Hero Front journey, and I will see you on the next episode. Let's get after it.